Thank you for joining. So today we are going to talk about the EU institutions. So we have today with us Sara and Vanessa, together with our friend José Pérez, which was with us previously on the immunology discussion, and as we liked him so much, we decided to invite him again. Now, as you can see, he has a bit of a different hairstyle. So apparently the hairdressers are not all closed. So that's positive. I didn't know that, as you can see. So I will let you give a quick introduction about yourselves and basically what you do. So why are you on this talk, and what are you doing here in Brussels? So we are actually all living in Brussels, and surprise, most of you are working for the Commission. So maybe Sara, if you would. When I say, you need to excuse me with that because I didn't have this talk yet, so I didn't learn.
Yeah, that's why.
The right wording.
For everyone, the only EU institution.
Yeah, so for me, it's like people working in Brussels for these institutions is people from the Commission or the EU. But after this talk, I'm sure I will be able to articulate my speech much better, thanks to you. So
yes, we hope so.
Yes, I think so. So maybe you can start, Sara, by introducing yourself.
Okay, I'm Sara. I work in the permanent representation of Portugal to the EU that works in the Council of the EU, and I will explain that a bit later. And I'm in Brussels since October 2018, and it's a great city if you want to join the EU bubble.
Very good. So Vanessa, if you want to go.
Yeah, so I'm Vanessa and I work at the Parliament for an MEP and work in communications and press. And before that, I also worked for the Commission, actually. I did a Blue Book traineeship at the Commission. So that's what I'm going to present, both the Commission and the Parliament.
Very good. So I already learned something. And you, Zé? I mean,
I am a newbie when it comes to the EU bubble. I've just joined this year, early in late January. I work as a public affairs consultant in an agency, in a communication and PR agency in Brussels. So yes. So for the record, you were talking about the Commission, but at the moment, no one is working at the Commission.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Well.
Exactly.
Lesson number 1 learned.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's great, and thank you all for accepting our invitation from the LAR team, and I think we can start. I believe it's with you, Vanessa, to give a brief explanation and to go through the main institutions and how this big machine works, basically.
Yeah. So you can maybe put the PowerPoint that I shared with you. I'm gonna introduce very briefly all the institutions, and you have 7 main institutions, as you can see on the second slide. Okay. So as I was saying, you have 7 main institutions: the European Commission, the European Parliament, where I work, the Council of the EU, the European Council, the European Central Bank, the Court of Justice of the EU, and the Court of Auditors. And it may have sounded weird to you. You can see on the list, you can put the second slide again, because on this list you see the Council of the EU and the European Council. And actually there are 2 different institutions. The Council of the EU, they represent the member states, and they are co-legislators of policies and budget together with the Parliament, whereas the European Council is made of the heads of state of the EU, so prime ministers and presidents, for example. And they set priorities for the EU, but they don't adopt laws. So now you can go to the next the next slide. You can overview here what the three main institutions do. And so basically the European Commission is an EU-level government. It's like the ministries we have in our countries, but at the European level. And then you have the European Parliament, and they represent the citizens of the EU through their members. And then the Council of the EU, as I said, represents the member states. So I'm going to start very briefly with the Commission. The Commission is the executive body of the EU. If you are not very familiar with this term, in political systems, when you have the separation of powers, you have the judicial, the executive, and the legislative. And so the Commission is the executive one, and it means that they enforce laws, basically. And this is made to avoid concentration of people, concentration of power by a certain group of people. So that's why you have this separation of powers. And the Commission is the only institution, actually, that can draft new laws. And additionally, they make sure that the legislation is correctly implemented in the member states and complied with. They also make assessment impacts on the Commission's priorities, and they manage the administrative and executive work behind the implementation of policy and budget. So for the nomination of the heads of the Commission, the candidate for presidency for the Commission is made by the European Council, and then it has to be approved by the Parliament. And after the election of the president, the president of the Commission and the Council, they choose 27 commissioners. It's one per each member state. And those commissioners, they are like ministers, but at the EU level. And after the nomination of those, it has to be reviewed by the Parliament, approved by the Parliament, for them to be elected. And after they are elected, they can set their priorities for their mandate, their 5-year mandate. And currently you have 6 main topics. So you may have heard of the main one, which is the Green Deal. And it's where Europe aims to be the first climate neutral continent in the world. And they want to lead by example on that area. And so then you have 5 other priorities. One of this is the digital strategy, which aims to empower people with a new generation of technologies. But you can check all that on the Commission's website also, like to see all the priorities. But I would say that due to this situation we're living with the pandemic, the Commission had to come up with an answer for a recovery plan, and they put up the Next Generation EU, what they call the Next Generation EU, and it's like the Plan Marshall, but for EU. And I would say that this became the 7th topic of the Commission as well. So now I'm going to speak about the Parliament.
Just before that, so basically the Commission is like, I think you explained it very well. So it's basically a government, but at the EU level. So you have all the functions and different people representing different things, like the ministers, the prime ministers, and so on. So, but at an European level, right? So it's basically extrapolating what we do in our countries to an European level. So that's the idea of the European Commission in the end, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Very clear. Okay, yeah.
And so now I'm going to explain the Parliament, and I'm going to speak about some treaties as well. Treaties are very boring, but I'm only going to say how it changed the powers of the Parliament. So I'm trying not to be too boring. So the Parliament was the first institution of the EU, actually. It was already on the Declaration of Schuman of 1950. And it has a legislative power, but not over all subjects. It also has a budgetary power, and it also oversees that the executive body, in this case the Commission, doesn't get too much power over the other institutions. And And then in 57, the treaties of Rome created the European Economic Community, and it was a big start point for trade, social policies, and the development of closer relations between member states. And also it was where the first common agriculture policy came up. And this is a very big topic even nowadays, because 1/3 of the budget of the EU goes into that common agriculture policy currently.
Whoa, 1/3.
1/3,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a lot. Yeah,
A lot. So as I said, the parliament was shaped with the Declaration of Schuman, but it gained more competencies with time. And for example, with the Treaty of Brussels in 75, the parliament was allowed to scrutinize the EU's accounts and assess if the Commission was spending its budget correctly. And with the Treaty of the Single European Act in 86, no other country can join the EU without the Parliament's approval. But I would say that the Lisbon Treaty is the most important for the Parliament's power. This Treaty of 2009 increased its power by giving national parliaments more responsibility in shaping the course of European policy and in allowing the citizens the power of initiative through what they call the Citizens' Initiative. Also, it gave the parliament the same lawmaking powers as the council. And for example, they both approve the entire EU budget or reject international agreements. And additionally, it gave the parliament full legislative power over 14 new fields, including agriculture, energy security, immigration, and so they're very, very big, important subjects. And now you might wonder, why keep both the parliament and the council? And I would say that they both exist because the parliament, as I said, they represent the citizens of the EU, and the council of the EU, they represent the member states, because Europe, the EU, is not a single country, it's not a federation, and each member state still wants to have a say in the EU policy, and that's why we maintain the council of the EU, so they can keep some sort of sovereignty. And as again about the parliament, today it has 705 members of the parliament. We commonly call them the MEPs in the EU bubble. I'm quite sure we are all familiar with that term in this discussion. And those members, those MEPs, they are divided by 7 political groups. So it means that the MEPs, they are not divided by member states, but rather by political parties. Since 79, they are elected for a 5-year period of time. And we can say that as they have a say in the Commission's body, they set the political direction for the EU for the 5 years of their mandate. Also, the number of the MEPs is proportionate to the population. So it means that Germans, well, there are more German MEPs than Portugal, for example. But there needs to be a minimum number of MEPs by country. So very small countries like Malta and Luxembourg have 6 MEPs. And the plenary session of the European Parliament is the culmination of the work that is being done in the committees and in the political groups. And it's where the MEPs debate and adopt the texts. And those plenary sessions happen at least 12 times a year in Strasbourg, not in Brussels. But then they can meet additionally in Brussels for up to 6 times for a 2-day plenary session.
I guess in case they have some, I mean, if they miss some sugar, chocolate, and waffles, they decide to meet in Brussels, right? It's like it's too cold in Luxembourg. Let's go a bit to Brussels. I'm craving a waffle with chocolate, so let's meet in Brussels then.
Well, the MEPs never go to Luxembourg, but it's true that the parliament has offices in Luxembourg, but only for administrative work. And most of the time, all the MEPs, all the parties, they are in Brussels and not in Strasbourg. We just go to Strasbourg for the plenary sessions. But for example, we can have extraordinary plenary sessions, and one might happen quite soon. It might happen the 22nd or 23rd of December if there is no deal with the Brexit. So let's hope they have a deal. So, and to end this, well, yeah, that's basically what I have to say about the Parliament and the Commission. So I give the floor to Sara to present the Council of the EU.
Yeah, sure. I will just say that I follow also the Parliament's work, and for now they are gathering and they have the plenary sessions in Brussels because of COVID-19 restrictive measures. So this is quite a bit complicated, actual politically, because as you imagine, France wants them to be in Strasbourg. So it's a tough issue. And well, I would just suggest that you show the next slides, because on the next slides you can show the image of the Commission, and yeah, you see there all the commissioners.
So this is obviously the building of the Commission. So now you can't be mistaken. This is the building of the Commission. I'm going to show the three others. Okay. And you have the Commission. You have the President of the Commission in white in the middle, and then you have the 27 commissioners all around. And if you can maybe show, yes, just behind the President of the Commission, the little woman there, she's the Portuguese commissioner.
Oh.
Yay!
So it's surprising that the tallest woman is not Portuguese.
Actually, she's even taller than the President of the Commission, that is German.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Okay, so I can show the next one then, right?
Yeah.
So this is the Parliament. You have the building in Strasbourg, the building in Brussels.
Commission,
and,
Parliament, okay.
And the room where everything is decided, where they vote. Yes. And so the next is the Council.
Yeah. And this is where I come in. Okay. Yay. So actually, the Council is made by more than one building. As the European Union was enlarging, was getting more member states, it was the need to make another building. So, but there you can see the most beautiful building, which is definitely the one with a lamp inside. And so this is where I come in, because the European Council and the Council of the EU are two different institutions, and please do not mistake them. As Vanessa said greatly, the EU Council is constituted by the heads of state or governments, and also the European Council presidents and the president of the European Commission. This body only decides the overall political direction and does not negotiate or adopt laws. This role is for the Council of the European Union. This Council of the European Union is informally known as well as Council of Ministers, and as Vanessa told, it's explicitly intergovernmental, because the people who attend there are executive staff of the governments of the member states. So the Council meets in 10 different configurations of 27 national ministers, one per state, and the configuration changes according to the topic under discussion. For example, if you have a discussion on agriculture, you will have the minister whose portfolio is agriculture or justice. So it has this kind of different configurations depending on the topic. And together with the Parliament, the Council is one of the legislative bodies. It negotiates and adopts laws that will be followed by the member states. It coordinates member states' policies, which are, for example, education, culture, employment policy. It also develops common and foreign and security policy, which is rather important, concludes international agreements, and adopts the EU budget. So the council has a particular decision-making process because, as you can imagine, you have staff coming from all over each member state, and they get together to push for their interest, for the interest of their country. And therefore, when a proposal is submitted by the Commission, that a proposal for a law is submitted, this has to be examined by the Council and by the Parliament at the same time. And in the Council, you have 3 degrees. You have a working party degree, then the Permanent Representatives Committee, and then the Council configuration. So as soon as the legislative proposal enters, it goes to the working parties. There are more than 150 working parties, and they depend, of course, on the topic. So as the example I said before, if a legislation is on agriculture or fisheries or justice or migration, it goes to the correspondent working party. Once the working party agrees on a position, it goes to the Permanent Representatives Committee, which is called as COREPER. COREPER 1 issues follows agriculture, fisheries, and more internal issues, more national elements, rather than the COREPER 2, which follows justice and economics. After the COREPER level, which is made by the ambassadors, it goes to the council configurations, of course, to the ministers, and then they will decide on the position of the council. After the position of the council is being made, it is said to the parliament what is our position, and then we have to negotiate on a common ground so that a legislation be adopted. And the council has also one particularity, because the presidency is a rotative one. You have each member state will preside at one moment for only 6 months period. So now you have Germany, and in the 1st of January 2021, it will be the presidency of Portugal. So it's a great opportunity to push for our agenda. But we cannot do that only thinking about ourselves, but we have to think about all the member states. We have to plan and share their meetings. We have to be an honest broker on the negotiations, and we also will represent the council in the relations with other institutions. So it's a pretty interesting role. And therefore, as I was telling you, in the council you have member state staff, because we are representing the interest of our own country. And this is done by the permanent representation to the EU, which is not very common when you talk about Brussels, because each member state has a permanent representation, and it's the biggest post and biggest mission of each country. And for example, from the permanent representation of Portugal to the EU, I negotiate and lobby on behalf of Portuguese interests. And this implies that we are daily in contact with representatives of other EU member states, with the European Commission, and also we have to follow the European Parliament's work. That's it. Wow. If you have any questions, I'm glad.
Yeah, well, the first thing that comes into my mind is having so many institutions and so many people working in let's say in the Commission, the Parliament, and the Council. How do you feel that the decision making is done, and I mean, it's more a bit your perspective and personal opinion on how could this be optimized? Because, you know, I would say I don't think it's just me. I think it's a bit of a generalized thought from the people that really don't know a lot about this. And it's like you have so many institutions, so many people, things are so slow, they take so much time, and you know, how can we basically make it more efficient, you know?
Well, I think, for example, to make it more efficient would be for the EU to be a federation. That's why it's so slow actually to take a decision, because it's not a single country. It's 27 different countries taking a decision. That's why it takes so much time. But I can give you the example of the multi-annual framework. So it's the budget for the EU for the 7 years to come. And the recovery plan, it was now approved. It was actually approved this Friday by the EU leaders. But it was approved by the parliament. Well, it has been on the table for a very long time, especially the recovery plan. It was on the table since March, and it was only approved now. I don't know if Sarah...
No, definitely. I would love to have suggestions, but it's very difficult because you have different countries for different cultures and backgrounds. You also have this kind of the issues and topics they handle are really different from for many perspectives. So it's really, really difficult. And you can imagine, for example, for the council, we have topics that are discussed for more than 3 years because the working parties do scrutinize every line by line the proposal from the Commission, and they, of course, want to make sure their country's interest is being taken on. And also, example, the MEPs is the same.
Yeah, I was going to mention again the recovery plan and this multi-annual financial framework, the MFF. Basically, the parliament approved it, but they made the conditionality based on the fact that the member states could only get those funds if they would respect the rule of law, for example. And it was a pretty big deal since in Poland and in Hungary they are a bit drifting, so they didn't want to agree on this. They finally did, so that's why it took so much time. Because we want every country to respect EU values. It's not because you are already a member that now you don't need to comply with the EU values.
It's part, it's part of your duty as well. It's not something.
Yes, but it's also a game of give and take, because you will always have to negotiate on what is more urgent. And of course, on this recovery plan, you understand that we need money to keep everything going. So it's a little bit tricky.
Yeah. And there was a question here from the chat on our website related to the federal state concept that you mentioned. Like, what is... So I understand for you, Vanessa, you think that if the EU would be a federal state, it could be more agile, let's say. Is there any other thoughts about this topic? Let's say I just want also to highlight that we have roughly 5 minutes left, so it went really fast, I know.
And you chose one of the biggest topics too, so let's move into a federation in 5 minutes.
Wow.
Well,
it was a big swing.
It's basically just, to get a bit of your perspective from that side, and then Jose, if you have some question as well, feel free to jump in. But I just wanted to highlight that we have 5 minutes left.
So should we elaborate on this federal idea?
Okay, this is on the table today. We are going to decide if it will be a federation or not. Okay.
So basically, I think we are now very far from it. Also because of the Brexit. It just happened. It's still happening. We still don't have a deal. We don't know how it's going to end. So now it's going to be really tough to come with this federation idea. Also, as I mentioned, there are some countries that are drifting away from the EU values. So maybe not a good time to put a federation in place. This right now.
Yeah. And it's also, I think that there are many MEPs, many politicians that do not like the idea of federalism and more shared competences. So you can imagine that countries want to have more weight on the decisions than others, and still have their exclusive competences for themselves and the sovereignty. So it's difficult to answer that.
Yeah. I understand it as being a kind of an ideal state, let's say.
Yeah, but we are very different. We are 27 different member states, and they are so different in terms of culture and also in values. It's very normal. It's not like...
of course. Of course. And I don't know, Jose, do you have any question or any
No, let me
input?
just yes. So continuing on the conversation, and actually this is fun. So book a next one, more dangerous on Let's Make a Federation. But yeah, that was actually a very interesting idea for the next one. But regardless of what we would like, or if we are pro or against the idea, or there are developments. I'm not going to say in that direction, but the truth is that there are some more recent developments. And since we were talking about the MFF and the recovery plan, you got for the first time ever what they called, or some people call, like a Hamilton moment in Europe regarding the debt, because for the first time ever we are going to have debt, collective debt, for all of Europe, which is a very, very big step and a very big progress. I'm not going to say towards a federation, because that's very dangerous, but it's something that was never thought that it could be possible.
Actually, for example, with the crisis of 2008, there was another system made in place. The European semester was created then, and it was made to avoid crisis, economic crisis. So they would oversee how a country is doing. They would issue the recommendations so it would not fall into an economic crisis and bring all the other member states along with it. But obviously, this one that we have now, it wasn't foreseeable, like the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't foreseeable in a way, but it was in another, right? I mean, this is something that has been, let's say, for some people, like being taught, like we can have, if we have a pandemic, what do we do?
Yes.
And there were some exercises, I believe, in like some theoretical exercises. If we have a pandemic, what should we do as a continent, as a country, whatever. So, although it was unexpected per se, but I think in the other hand, for me, the feeling I have is like what you were saying on the 2008 crisis. It's like we react on something, and this is, I think this is general. I think we should try to proactively do changes and do improvements other than reacting. It's natural. It's human behavior to. You remember to do something, to solve something when you have a problem. You put less effort and attention if you don't have a problem, and you are like, oh, what if I have this problem? How would I solve it? So, but it's just I think like the ideal way to work. So we have 2 minutes left, according to my watch there. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to say, or that you want to add, or give, suggestions or proposals, like Jose was talking about having a LAR talk for the topic of a federal state, for example.
It will be very interesting, I think, to do a talk after the Portuguese presidency. So as Sara mentioned, the presidency lasts for 6 months. So it will start in January, it will end at the end of June. So it will be nice to have like a talk after that, and to present what was done by Portugal.
Yeah, that definitely, that is interesting. I was also thinking that more issues related to the EU would be also interesting, because it's very dark, as you don't know a lot of it. You talk about the EU bubble, but you don't understand. Even my mom, she still says that I'm working in the embassy, so what can I say?
Well, if your mother make a mistake like that, I think then I'm okay to make the mistake I made at the start of the call then. So I just want to thank you all for joining. I think it was fast, it was quick, but it was very insightful, I would say, and it was very well and clearly explained. Thank you for that. So I just want to leave with this note to thank you, all of you, and for the people listening to us, to always share with their thoughts, and what do you think we can do better. So thank you all for joining.
I have something to say, actually, because now I'm also part of the team of the LAR radio.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe quick. this video is going to be available afterwards, so
Yes.
you can watch it if you have not followed it.
Everything will
Yes.
be available. So I think we have really just a few seconds. So thank you all
Yes.
for joining.
Thank you so
And
much.
have a good afternoon.
Nice holidays. Have a Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.